What's going on, everybody? In today's video, we are finding out the best of Camp Nelson from Wild Turkey. We are going to blind a CNA, a CMB, a single Rickhouse of CNC. We don't have CND. I believe they stopped producing those in 2020. We'll find out if they're coming back later. We have a CNE and a CNF, so let's pour these up, let's blind them, and let's find out what is the best of Camp Nelson. So if you don't know how this works, this is the Great Whiskey Challenge tasting kit. Each one of these glasses has a letter on the bottom that I can't see while I'm drinking it. Obviously, we don't need the tags because we have A, B, C, E, and F. Each one of those are corresponding with A, B, C, E, and F on the glasses underneath. To make sure we're doing this correctly, we're going to do this blind, so we're going to spin them up on our Whiskey Wisdom wheel here. And I'll close my eyes just to be safe. Should be good enough. All right, this is going to be a lot of whiskey, so let's get into this. The only thing that I will say is I believe the Russell's Reserve single Rickhouse CNC is barrel proof, so I think that's 117.6. I'm almost positive these other fours are 110 proof. Now, I'm told this is like comparing Four Roses LE to the Four Roses single barrel, so we'll find out if that one stands out amongst the crowd. But let's go. Everybody knows before we get started, time for the traditional sip. Cheers, y'all. Starting off hot. I gotta be honest with you. I don't know if one, my palate is gonna be good enough to distinguish a difference between these five, or two, if there's really that much of a difference between one Rickhouse over another. Now, this one should stand out being 117.6 proof compared to the 110 proofs. It's also a single Rickhouse, which goes for like $500 versus these other bottles, which go for like what, 75, 80 bucks. So that being said, I'm gonna move into glass number 2 over here, and let's talk a little bit more about Camp Nelson. So I just found out that Camp Nelson is actually 45 minutes away from Wild Turkey Distillery, which is wild to me, no pun intended. But I also found out that they didn't build it. It actually was built a long time ago and had a couple different people aging some spirits in there, including Canada Dry Bourbon. Yes, the ginger ale company. Again, I found all of this out just by reading a couple articles by Rarebird 101. Make sure you're following him. That is fantastic. I got to tell you, I'm the real winner here. I love Russell's Reserve single barrels. I have these two. This is the CNA and CNB in my collection. Obviously, I have some friends that sent me some other ones. I've killed a couple of bottles already. Anything that I ever find that says Russell's Reserve single barrel on it, I look up where it's from. I try it out, Camp Tyrone, any of it. It's absolutely fantastic. I mean, listen, there are some subtle differences between these. I don't think I'll ever drink enough of this stuff to be able to tell you that's CNA or that's CMB. If I get that good, then again, I'm on a different level, but I just want to be able to distinguish if there is a difference and which one that I like better than the others. That one's the hottest. So far, these stand out as the hottest. They also stand out as the spiciest as well. These three get a lot more sweetness on it, and everybody knows I love a sweet whiskey. Initial thoughts, I liked this one the best. Obviously, we only sipped it one time. Let's go back through with this one starting. I mean, that's just so easy to sip. A little bit of a toffee note on there, super sweet on the front, a little bit of spice in the middle, a lot of oak presence going on right here. I haven't really picked up which one it's on, but when I was spitting them, I could get that oak. I was getting a lot of oak on these. And again, I don't know the ages on all of these. This one's 9 years, it tells me right on here. This one's 10 years. And again, I don't know. This one's 8 years. I know that much. I don't know about the single Rickhouse. And then this is a 10-year as well. This tells us a lot. Russell's Reserve single barrel CNE, floor 5, 10 years, barrel 22-1002. There are people that actually know what that means. Obviously, I don't have that breakdown for you, but let's give you some barrel numbers just in case you care. This is barrel number 221045. This was CNB floor 5, and then this was CNA floor 4, and this is barrel number 22-0093. So again, if that means anything to you, if you have a particular barrel that's close to that, let me know what you think about it. I'm going to go back to this one because, again, I want to see how much hotter this one was compared to this one. Okay, second sip through, that definitely eased up. Not as hot as it was. Maybe this is the 117 proof. I'm hoping I can at least pick out 7.6 proof difference. That one almost seems to have like an astringency on it. I'm not going to tell you that I don't like any of these, but for some reason, that one right there stands out amongst these five as the one that I don't love the most. You know what I mean? It's definitely like lower tier compared to everything else here. That's weird. And that one I absolutely love a lot. These two were spicy at the beginning and they were also hot. After one sip, maybe this was just like the first sip type of deal, but this was after 4 other sips, so I wasn't too sure on this one. But I can't pick out 117.6 over 110 proofs here. This is crazy. I kind of wanted to look at color, but I guess that's not really going to help us either. They're all very similarly colored. This one has like a cinnamon slash big red note on it, which I absolutely love. But then there's also like a cherry note. Which one did I get the cherry note on? I got to go back through again. That's definitely cinnamon. I think it was this one here. Nope. This one. This one has a very good cherry note on it. Not like that medicinal cherry. That just hit the back of my palate and was a little bit hotter than it used to be. Not like a medicinal cherry, but a very good, like, sweet cherry note, almost like a maraschino cherry that you would put in an old fashioned, like that syrupy too, like that viscosity from the syrup of a maraschino cherry. The vanillas on this one is really good. I like the vanillas on this. It's very predominant. It's up front. It's in your face. The caramels on this one, I hate doing this because obviously vanilla caramel, right? We get it. It's a bourbon. But the vanillas and caramels definitely stand out on this one. The cherry stands out on this one. Cinnamon stands out on this one. So again, they're very different and I wasn't expecting that. I mean, we're talking about how far apart are these things? I never looked this up. How are these warehouses really that much different? Is it like elevation? What's going on here? You guys, again, probably know more than me. I make these videos so you guys can leave me comments telling me all about the things that I don't know. So what I don't know is where are these Rickhouses as far as elevation to each other? Most of these, I mean, floor 4, floor 5. I can't imagine. This one was floor, this one doesn't tell us. Yeah, floor 4, 8 years. This one was floor 5. So it's not like we're talking floor 1 versus floor 16 or anything like that. I just can't imagine how they get these to be so different. Obviously, single barrels are going to be different in general, but when you're aging in the same place, you have the same age statements on these, you're coming from the same floor, everything like that, it's kind of crazy. There's almost like an herbal note to this. Like I don't want to say green tea. It's not green tea. What kind of tea am I thinking of? It's like an Earl Grey. That's what I'm trying to think of. I made an old fashioned like probably a year ago now, and it had an Earl Grey tea old fashioned, and that's what I'm picking up on that. The herbalness on this stands out. Again, we're going back to the cherry on this one, cinnamon on this one. What did we have here? This was the vanillas and the caramels, I believe. This right here is kind of what's going on in this glass. That's the spice. That's that clove. That's that black pepper. This is spicy. These are all sweet. These three I said were sweeter than these two, but I don't know if that's even true anymore. This is probably one of the hardest blinds that I've ever done as far as picking out which one's my favorite. Every single one has something delicious about it. Every single one is good. None of these are bad whiskeys. I can't really put my finger on which one I don't like versus which one I do like. It's so close. This is like 1A versus 1B, 1C. We'll skip 1D, 1E, and 1F, but you get what I'm saying. I don't even know where to go next. Let's start on this end. We'll go back through one more time. I'll tell you my last tasting notes. Then we'll take the final sip of each of these and we just got to call it. That's spicy. That's spicy too. So this is spicy with cinnamon. We're going to stick with that with our tasting notes. Spicy and cinnamon. I'm not saying this doesn't have other tasting notes. They're all complex. I'm just trying to pick out like the nuance, the thing that's different about this particular one. It does have some sweetness to it. It's got a little bit of an oak presence to it. Nothing overwhelming. I was actually expecting, off of the noses of these, I was expecting a lot more oak on all of these. It's there, but it's not as predominant as I thought it was going to be. This, we're going with Big Red. We're going with cinnamon. We're going with spicy. Compared to everything else, that's what stands out on this glass. This one is that, it's that quiet vanilla, it's that quiet caramel, but it's so good. I love that about this particular glass. This one is the most bourbon of bourbons, if that makes sense amongst the crowd. This one is the one that I don't know if I blinded it up against other traditional bourbons, that I could really say it stands out as a Russell's Reserve single barrel. I've got to say it stands out as a very good bourbon. I just don't think it stands out as unique by any means. Very, very good bourbon, not unique compared to everything else here. So cinnamon, very, very good bourbon. I think, again, if you blinded this against other bourbons, you would say it's the best of some of these other bourbons, obviously comparing it to whatever you want to compare it to. But I don't think that you would say it's unique in any type of way, which is kind of weird when it comes to whichever one of these this is. This gives you all the spice that you love in like a higher rye mash bill. I would kind of almost, I would never by any means say this is a rye, but I don't know if I would say it's 75, 13, 12. You know what I mean? I would think this was a higher rye content based off the spice on this. I don't get any of that like extra rye influence with like that evergreen or that dill or that mint or anything like that. But the spiciness, the clove on this, the black pepper on this would make me lean more towards a higher rye than what I think I'm getting here. So that's what we get on this particular glass. Let's go on to this. I think this was the cherry note, right? Very nice maraschino sweet cherry note on this. I love this particular glass. This glass might stand out as my number one. The thing is, I'm not even thinking about proof on any of these. I have no clue. I've been through a couple of times now. I have no clue which one stands out as the CNC when it comes to the proof. All right, here it is. Cherry cola. That's what I get on this particular glass right here. This is a cherry cola. That is really, really good. I don't know why I put it up here. Maybe subconsciously I'm telling you that this is probably going to be number one. This should be back here just because I'm doing a little angle thing. But cherry cola note on this stands out. Proof-wise, I feel like at the beginning it didn't. But that might also stand out when it comes to the proof. It doesn't really hit you, but I feel like it's like warming me up more than everything else, right? So it's not really telling me it's 117 proof, but my body's like, hey, that's not the same as the rest of these. Keep that in mind. Yeah, this glass is a little bit more herbal for me, a little bit more earthy. I feel like I'm getting a little bit more of the grains in this glass right here compared to everything else right here. Again, it's not grainy, it's not young, it's not anything like that. I just feel like I'm getting a lot more of that herbal, earthy influence on this particular glass over everything else that I'm trying. So now we have to figure out how we're going to rank these. Now listen, there's always somebody in my comment that says, that's a great whiskey, it shouldn't be in last place, but you gotta recognize what we're doing here. We're drinking 5 fantastic whiskeys. We're also 5 fantastic whiskeys deep at this point. Let's start here. We're gonna rank these. We're just gonna put this as number 1, then we're gonna go to the next one. I'm gonna tell you if it's better or worse, and we'll rank it off that. This is number 1 for right now. Let's go into this glass right here. Again, I love what this glass has to offer. I think up against almost any other bottle that I would put it up against in my collection, this would definitely win in a blind. But compared to what I have here, I don't think it's better than this one. I think it's a very good traditional tasting bourbon, but I'm looking for something a little bit more unique, especially at the price point that could be $500 or at least $90 to $100 for some of these picks. So I'm still going to keep this one number 1. I'm going to keep this one number 2. I don't know if it's going to fall too far from number 2. Maybe something else will jump it, but we'll see how we go when we get into glass number 3. So the spiciness on these two is very interesting because, again, the spiciness on this is that big red. It feels like I'm chewing that cinnamon bubble gum, almost something like that. You still get the sweetness from that bubble gum as well, where this is just kind of all spice for me. This is all clove. This is all black pepper. I get a little bit of sweetness on this, but not quite as much sweetness as I get on this one. But I do think, personally, I like a sweeter whiskey, but for some reason, this seems a little bit quieter to me than this one right here. So I do think I like this one better than this one, but I don't think I like this one better than this one. And I'm not going to try them yet because if I have to question myself on it, I'll go back and try them. But right now, I want to make sure we save enough whiskey in case one of these jumps somewhere in here. So let's try this one next. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. This glass right here, I haven't talked much about this glass because it didn't give me a lot at the beginning, but This is very, very easily going to be either number one or number two. I'm almost positive about that. The question is, does it jump over this glass right here? I know it jumps over this glass, so I don't have to compare them. My biggest concern is I don't have a lot of this glass, and that should tell you something. Normally, when I drink through it very quickly, it means I'm like, what is that? I like that. Let's keep drinking that. So right now, I'm going to push these two forward, and I'm going to say we're going to try these again. Let's just make sure this doesn't, I don't know, jump up to number one or number two for any reason. I don't think it's going to, because it's more of that earthy, that grainy note. I don't think it's going to, I said this one might be number two, and now it might be number four or number five. No, I don't think it's going to jump. I think this is going to be my number five. I don't think it's a bad glass of whiskey by any means. It's just not what I'm looking for in a particular whiskey release. This, again, is that earthy, grainy note. If you like that, maybe that's for you. But for me, this just doesn't seem to be hitting the way these other four are hitting. Listen, I killed this one. This is going to stay number five. We'll keep this back here. Before I kill my palate figuring out who's going to be 3 and 4, let's go and figure out who's going to be number 1 and number 2. Let's go back to these one more time. This has been the silent killer the whole night. I think that might be it. The cinnamon, this is very close, by the way. This versus this is very close. I think I'm going to give the nod to this. I'll take one more sip of this, but I think I'm going to give the nod to this glass over here. This cinnamon, this big red cinnamon note over here is absolutely delicious. Something about this glass is just special, though. That last sip made it even harder. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to go with my gut on this. I think this is the best amongst the group. This is easily, I mean, if tomorrow night I could do the same thing and these could be reversed. These two, however, I think are going to stay the same. I think this is a pretty easy one for me. Yeah, I'm going to give it to this glass over this glass. Any other day of the week in any other blind, I think this glass wins. This is a phenomenal glass of whiskey. It's very, very good for what it wants to be as a bourbon, but against these other three glasses here, it does beat out our Earl Grey tea over here. But against these other three glasses, I just don't think it stands up. But listen, there's only one way to find out what is what, and that's to finish these and flip these glasses over and find out who is the king of Camp Nelson. Listen, number 5 is already back here. It's already empty, so let's flip it over and let's see what it is. And the answer is, in 5th place is A, which is going to be, of course, CNA. This is a Total Wine and More pick. Again, this was distilled 5/13/2013, dumped 1/12/2023, bottled 1/31/2023, barrel number 22-0093, warehouse CNA floor 4, which makes this 9 years old. Of course, checked by Eddie Russell and approved by Jimmy Russell. In 5th place is going to be CNA. And let's just go through here. Let's go up into number 4. Let's find out what this is. Let's finish it off. Cheers. Traditional sip. Cheers, y'all. I hope I didn't mess this up. Let's flip it over, and the answer is F. This is Russell's Reserve CNF, 8-year bottles and stuff. I don't know what the bottles and stuff means, but CNF, floor 4, 8 years, bottles and stuff. That F, I mean, that was, again, a very good, for me, traditional whiskey, traditional bourbon, a lot of vanillas, a lot of caramels on that, but it just didn't stand up to these 3 particular glasses right here. Which means CNC is still in play, so let's find out who came in 3rd place. Let's finish this up and let's flip it. I'm so excited. If CNC won, as it should, right? That's what people are telling me. Let's find out. And the answer is B. CNC still in play. This was distilled 05/02 of 2013, stored in barrels for 10 years, dumped 5/2/2023, bottled 6/5/2023, barrel number 22-1045, CNB floor 5. It says selected by nobody. I don't know what that means. Nobody selected this particular one, but let's find out. Should we go right to number 1 or should we stick with number 2? Let's go right into number 1. Let's find out who is our winner of Camp Nelson. Who is the king of Camp Nelson? And the answer is, ladies and gentlemen, it is E. Russell's Reserve Single Barrel CNE Floor 5 10 years barrel 1002 is our winner, which means this one was C. I still don't get the proof on that. That's absolutely wild. If you are a Russell's Reserve fanatic like I am, let me know if you've tried any of these. Let me know if you have barrel numbers that are close to these. Let me know if you've tried each one of these from each particular floor and each particular warehouse. And let me know if you have a C and D, because I'm always looking for the D. But listen, that's where I'm going to leave you for today. C and E is our winner, C and C as a very close second. But in the meantime, make sure you click that like and subscribe button here on YouTube so I can keep bringing you content like this. Make sure you check us out on Instagram at Bourbon of the Week. Go click that follow button over there. We're pushing, I think, 20,000 at this point. Make sure you follow me on Discord and check out our Patreon page. Both those links in the description below. Please don't drink and drive. Always drink responsibly. Stay healthy, stay happy, and stay trying everything from Russell's Reserve. Cheers, y'all.